LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I
filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
You are now entering the Stone Zone, and I'm your host, Roger Stone. Well, America has lost an enduring icon of strength, discipline, and traditional conservative values. Legendary actor and martial artist Chuck Norris has died at the age of 86 following an undisclosed medical emergency in Hawaii where he lived. Chuck Norris, of course, was best known for his roles in Walker, Texas Ranger, and a long list of action films represented more than just Hollywood fame. I think Chuck Norris embodied rugged individualism, faith, and personal responsibility. He was an outspoken conservative at a time that would destroy your career in woke Hollywood. His persona was not just as an acting role, it was something he lived every single day. According to his family, he passed peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. In a heartfelt statement, his family described him not just as a global star, he was certainly that, but also as a devoted husband, father, and grandfather who lived with purpose and, I would say, unwavering faith. They emphasized the profound impact he had on millions through his career and his public character. Just days before he passed, Norris was reportedly actively training and in good spirits, still demonstrating the toughness and resilience that defined his public image for decades. Rising to fame alongside Bruce Lee in the 1970s, Chuck Norris built a career celebrating American strength and patriotism through films like The Delta Force, my favorite, Missing in Action, and others. In later years, he became a cultural phenomenon through the viral Chuck Norris Facts, introducing him to an entire new generation of fans. He also starred in the iconic Walker, Texas Ranger series, was one of my favorites. In recent years, he became an outspoken political conservative, using his voice to fight back against America's descent into socialism. This is a man who championed faith, family, and country without apology. This American original, who was never corrupted by the woke Hollywood system, will be greatly missed. Chuck Norris, may you rest in peace. Big news, of course, out of South Florida, former FBI Director James Comey, who seems to have slipped the punch in the Eastern District of Virginia when federal judges there dismissed the claims of perjury, lying under oath before Congress against him, not by weighing the actual facts of the case or the evidence, but by illegally knocking out the appointment of the federal prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan. You see, they don't want to go to trial because they know they'll lose, so they unconstitutionally ruled that Halligan's appointment by President Trump as the U.S. attorney who was prosecuting both James Comey, the former FBI director, and New York Attorney General Letitia James was illegal. They're wrong. That is being appealed. But what's interesting is the misconduct of at least 3 federal judges now puts those 3 federal judges' careers in jeopardy. House Republicans that I know on are actively working on articles of impeachment regarding the judges who incorrectly ruled and violated the canon of judicial ethics repeatedly that Lindsay Halligan, the prosecutor who was prosecuting James Comey, was illegally appointed. But this is a different investigation. We are told by multiple reports that the former FBI Director James Comey has been subpoenaed in a major new investigation examining the coordinated efforts to undermine President Donald Trump. The subpoena, issued by a federal grand jury in Florida, is part of a reportedly sweeping probe into the Obama-Biden era officials tied to the origins of the Russiagate hoax. At the center of the inquiries is the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, which claimed falsely that Russia favored Trump in the 2016 election, an assertion that was later proven to be based on faulty evidence that intelligence officials knew was complete bunk, but pushed it anyway for the purposes of electoral interference. I speak specifically, of course, of the so-called Steele dossier. That was a fake report illegally paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign, but then taken by the CIA Director John Brennan, inserted in the intelligence assessment given to President Barack Obama, and that is, of course, what kicked off the Russian collusion hoax. That now completely discredited dossier report, which, by the way, claimed falsely that President Donald Trump had dallied with Russian prostitutes while visiting Moscow as a private businessman, was the basis for the illegal spying on Donald Trump's campaign, was the basis for the appointment of Robert Mueller as a special investigator. He spent $30 million and came up completely empty-handed on the question of Russian collusion. This new investigation, which is led by U.S. Attorney Jason Redding Quonis under a Trump-appointed judge, has now issued more than 130 subpoenas, signaling, I hope, a serious effort to uncover potential misconduct at the highest levels of government. Now, why Florida, you may ask? Well, here is the underlying legal theory. The Russian collusion hoax was cooked up in an April 2016 meeting in the Oval Office, presided over by Barack Obama himself, including Joe Biden, the CIA Director John Brennan, the FBI Director James Comey, the Director of National Intelligence General James Clapper, Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, and others. There, they openly discussed the quote-unquote Clinton plan. That was a plan by John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, and Hillary Clinton himself to smear Donald Trump as having been influenced by the Russians. That continues, of course, into the appointment of Mueller. It continues into the entire Russian collusion hoax, which dominated 2017. The two fake impeachments, both of them baseless, that continues into what I believe was the theft of the 2020 election. Then there was the January 6th Fedsurrection, which I think most people have largely figured out was a complete and total setup. We have Nancy Pelosi on videotape admitting as much. Then there was the fake documents case, and here's the key point, the raid on Mar-a-Lago. That brings this continuing seditious conspiracy to Florida and to a jurisdiction which is not controlled by the radical left. There is no point in indicting any Democrat or anyone who broke the law or the Constitution in the District of Columbia because there are no honest judges in the District of Columbia. And one cannot possibly get a fair and balanced jury in the District of Columbia. I can tell you all about that. So I would say the alliance of fake news media and the deep state propelled the entire Russian collusion hoax forward. Comey, who was fired by Trump in 2017, played a key role in both the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane probe, that's the counterintelligence investigation into the President of the United States, which had no basis or probable cause. As I said, the so-called Steele dossier, well, that was a fraud. The other fraud is the claim that the Democrat National Committee was the target of an online hack by Russian intelligence. I say it yet again. The U.S. government, at my trial or at no other time, has ever produced any forensic evidence that proved that this actually happened. In fact, if one looks at the evidence, the information that was stolen by someone from the Democrat National Committee was downloaded to a portable drive and taken out the back door. We know this because the download times demonstrate that this could not have been an online hack. Comey is also tied to the broader Russian collusion hoax that unfortunately dominated President Trump's first term and undermined his America First agenda. The entire crew here, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Biden, Rice, and others, most Americans want to know whether they will be held accountable. You see, the Democrats and their handmaidens in the mainstream legacy media keep claiming that this is about political retaliation and revenge by Donald Trump. In other words, anytime a Democrat or someone involved in the Biden or Obama administrations are held accountable for violating the law, they scream that it is retribution and retaliation, when in fact it is just accountability and justice. Great piece by my good friend Miranda Devine in the New York Post, I believe it was yesterday, outlining the way that the Mueller investigation was unduly biased and partisan, and also the way they cut corners and destroyed lives. This is long overdue accountability for heinous abuses of power and a weaponized federal bureaucracy. This needs to end, in my opinion, in charges of seditious conspiracy, and that means treason. The longer we delay, the more likely that these deep state individuals like Comey will not be held culpable. Time has come to lock them up, or at least at a minimum, put them on trial, a fair trial, unlike the one that I received in D.C., and lock them up. The MAGA base expects accountability and justice. It's very clear that the American people demand action on this. I don't believe Republican voters and MAGA voters will be motivated to vote in 2026 midterm elections if there is no accountability. Of course, the other big issue here is the security and the integrity of our elections. It's very clear that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, actively investigating both the mail-in paper ballots that played such a crucial role in at least 3 of the major swing states, but also whether these electronic voting machines can be manipulated. There is substantial evidence that they can, and that there was online manipulation from both Chinese and Venezuelan actors. Unfortunately, there is, of course, some opposition inside the administration. That's because I believe the Central Intelligence Agency has been using this same technology to rig foreign elections for decades, and they most likely don't want that to be investigated. Again, if there is no accountability and no justice when it comes to the Russian collusion hoax, and we do not have free, fair, honest elections, well, it won't matter how strong the economy is. It won't matter how many peace deals the president makes. Those are 2 absolute requirements in order for Republicans to win in 2026. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to the Stone Zone right here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Again, Chuck Norris, may you rest in peace. We'll be right back with more on the other side.